Hey, hold on. Hold. Bag up. Bag up, Terry. Put it in reverse, Terry. Put it in reverse. Oh, Lord, jeez. What you doing, Terry?
Hey, Sooner football fans. This is your Sooner football fans podcast. You got Terry, Rob, and Caleb here. Boomer Rob.
Sooner Terry.
Boomer Caleb.
Boomer.
And we are coming at you from the still corona-free Podcast Palace in a thundering Norman, Oklahoma.
Where we are not affiliated with the University of Oklahoma.
But we do have eligibility left. And do we got a podcast for everybody today?
Yes, we do.
Coming up very shortly, in about 15 minutes, we will have the man himself,
The voice of the Sooners,
Toby Rowland. So, you've asked, many fans out there have said, you guys need to get T-Row on the show. We finally got in touch with T-Row, and he graciously accepted.
So excited.
And so I want to apologize to everybody on the northeast side of Norman on Friday when I got the message from Toby because I screamed.
Like a little girl?
I was like,
right.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I was, pretty happy about the whole situation. So, but we will be calling him here shortly and talking all things Sooner football and
whatever else comes up. Right?
Yeah, whatever
baseball,
else.
Whatever. He does all the sports. So.
Yep. So he is the busiest man in the sports business in Oklahoma, I do believe.
Oh, for sure.
But Rob, how's the coronavirus going for you?
Well, they furloughed everybody.
Oh man, that's too bad.
Yeah, I want to be unhappy about that, Terry, but I'm at home, right?
You live on a golf course.
So I got kicked off the golf course, though. I didn't tell you that.
No, you got kicked off the golf course.
Yeah, me and Rhett were out there. There's a hole right in front of my front door, and so we just hopped out there on the tee and was just hitting some balls to that green par 3.
Yeah.
And the guy pulled up and said, "Hey, we're closed down." And there were a dozen people walking around the golf course and said, "Well, how? What?" And he's like, "Yeah, I know."
Probably told on you.
I can walk around the course, but I can't hit golf balls on the course. Yep. I'm like, I don't know if that makes a lot of sense, but whatever.
Yeah. Well,
Probably got told on.
Yeah.
Crime police.
Somebody called. There's two guys out there playing golf.
15 minutes after we get kicked off, right? So there's that tee box that's to the left of my front door. Well, to the right is that whole fairway, right, of that par 4 that's coming up. There was some sorority decided every one of them bring a lawn chair right in the middle of the fairway, swimsuits, having there's a big pond right there, so there were some guys fishing, but there was probably 20 girls laying in the middle of that fairway just sunbathing.
6 feet apart, though?
No, they were not. Not that I was really looking. I'm just saying they were there.
Rob goes out with a measuring tape.
He's like, lay down between them. All right.
So I ran to Walmart. No binoculars. No, I didn't. No.
Oh, Caleb, how about you? How's Corona going for you still?
Still working still, so I guess that's good. Got drunk Saturday and bought like 4 movies on Amazon. I watched the program first time. I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah.
It's like way over the top. Like, who's the guy that does the steroids in that movie? That guy is hilarious.
Yeah.
When he gets on the team, he starts headbutting the windshields out.
So, Rob, I got a question for you.
Okay.
Have your kids ever locked you out of your own house on purpose?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, I wanted s'mores. I was drunk and couldn't go get s'mores, so I locked the parents out so they'd go take me to go get s'mores. I was like, I won't pay for it. Just
Wow.
go take me to the store so I get s'mores. I can't drive. Then we only got s'mores. I only made one.
Yeah.
And
So
that's it.
Because I'm sitting out on the patio.
You guys made a fire pit here.
Yeah, I had the fire pit going, had a beer sitting there. Caleb's like, ooh, s'mores. And Teresa came out, sat down with me for a little bit. Make s'mores. And he locked us out. You can't come in until you take me to get s'mores.
Yep.
She takes him to get s'mores. He comes back and makes one.
Wow.
That's all I needed.
Listen,
Just needed one.
my children would have gotten beat with an inch of their life.
But see, let's make this a point too. How old are you, Caleb?
27. Yeah. You want me to drive and get s'mores myself? I said I was about to just drive myself.
Yeah,
Or you
I
could have
locked
just
y'all out.
not.
You could have just not had s'mores.
No, locked y'all out. It worked.
Yeah. Mama took him to the store, made him buy some other stuff though.
I bought it all out. She didn't make me buy anything. I bought it because I was just.
And now we know
I
why
was-
you
I
are
was-
the way you are.
I was drunk and I was walking through the aisles. Ooh, that looks good. I just grabbed it. I got like cookies and like soda and like
Milk. And
milk, chocolate milk. I was like, I'm Powerade. I was like, oh.
So
Yeah.
yeah, that's what it's like to have Caleb at your house on Corona lockdown.
I'm on for 4
Listen,
days.
you got a home, you need to go to it.
The person I live with, she's like freaking out though. So I just don't want to deal with that headache. So
What 4 movies did you get? You got the program.
I rented the program. I bought the Ben Affleck movie, The Way Back. It's a good movie. Sonic I bought, and then Mom wanted to watch the Call of the Wild, so I rented that. I think I got something else I rented.
Yeah. Well,
Program though, I watched that. I tried to watch it Saturday. It was just too much. I was like, this is so dumb. Now I put it on again Monday, and I was like, okay, I watched it.
yeah, it's a pretty good movie. It's a pretty good movie.
I think all
Do you
the
remember the
programs
program?
Barely.
Yeah,
Barely.
I mean, I think there was a time they were all like that. About the time that movie came out, that was pretty.
I'm pretty sure that was like based off the '80s Sooners. I'm pretty sure like Lyman was Bosworth.
Yeah, that was the motivation for that
him?
character.
You think so?
Yeah, the dude was, he had people peeing for him. They injected him with pee so he could pass a. How bad is that? That has to be.
Well, in the movie they put like the pee in like the toilet paper holder. And he had a tube in there. He pulled it out.
But
poured it
didn't
in
they
the cup.
also they ran a catheter up him?
No, I don't think they did that movie because they.
I could have swore they did that in that movie.
Yeah. So what else? I mean, I guess he like abused a girl because she wanted to leave, and like he got suspended for 2 games.
Well, and then they cut a scene out of the movie because there was kids that tried it. There was a scene where he was riding on a car, surfing on a car, and standing on the railroad tracks. And
The railroad tracks is still on there.
yeah, but I think there was one where he was surfing. Remember back in the day, you could
Yeah.
surf on,
Like in Teen Wolf.
That's not a great idea.
Yeah,
just
that's not it.
FYI.
Yeah, no. I mean,
Yeah, movie though is just like pretty much it's like all the bad things could have happened. Like this team's like supposed to be the program, and they lose 4 games every year. It's like, oh, it's like Texas, because I mean they're like the big school, they got all this money, and they can't win. They lose like all the big games. It was weird though because they're like the Wolves, but yet they have Mississippi State in it, they have Michigan in it, but they have real schools in the have Iowa, like they have real schools in it, but they're like the Wolves. They look like I think they're supposed to be Florida State, but they're in the SEC. It was I don't know, it's weird.
Iowa gets picked on a lot, don't they? Because didn't they play the Mud Dogs?
Yeah, they play the Mud Dogs.
Got beat or
Well,
tied. They tied them, right?
On this one, they're the
And-
ones that breaks the linebacker's leg, so they get the last laugh, and then they run over the steroid guy, makes him do steroids again. It's like pretty much all the bad things happen, and like the guy does steroids again at the end of the movie, and like no punishment. He just goes back on the roids. Their coaches win. He's happy.
James Caan was the coach.
Yeah.
See, I didn't like him as a coach.
It's been a long time since I've seen
Yeah,
that.
it's kind of like Any Given Sunday.
It's a college version.
Al Pacino.
You don't like Pacino as coach?
Yeah.
He doesn't strike me as a coach
No,
either.
no, he just seemed out of his element.
What about the Friday Night Lights? Not Friday Night Lights coach. Varsity Blues guy, James Voight. John Voight.
John Voight.
Now, what
It
if
was pretty
at
good 'cause
some
he-
point he would have went, say hello to my left friend? Would have been good then? Okay. I just want to throw that out.
Yeah. Or, hey, I'm walking here. But Rob just broke his microphone stand again, kind of. But speaking of football, though, let's get a little bit of football talk in
Okay.
here. Rob, are you happy with the draft?
I think so. I mean,
Should we talk big OU news first?
Which one of the?
Hazelwood tore his ACL.
Well, let's hold on.
Probably
CD,
get
CD,
let's get the bad stuff out of the way first, and then go to positive or players getting paid in the first round.
Well, I mean,
The Hazelwood thing was going on for like a week. I guess with the corona, it takes forever. I guess to get confirmed. Like he tore his ACL, but like
yeah. Well, I guess they're saying now it's a really bad tear, so
oh, really?
he
I
may
was
be.
going to say he'll be healed by the time we
Yeah,
get
he
to play.
could be. I mean, I don't know. I mean, that's just it. You don't know exactly
it's all
what.
guess
he
right
did.
now because I don't think he didn't really see a specialist yet because it's kind of hard to see one right
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
So I mean,
It's an elective surgery, and nobody's doing elective
Oh, boy.
surgeries. So,
It's crazy.
but no, but the Dallas Cowboys got CD and Neville Gallimore.
And Neville Gallimore.
Was that shocking to you?
A little bit. I didn't think CD would be there when Dallas got to pick. So,
Yeah, nobody did. I don't think.
But I'm happy with that. I think he'll do well there. Just another weapon for Dak. They got a decent offensive line. The defense is not bad. They need to shore up a linebacker, but with the additions of CD and Neville, they might go 8-8 next year.
might make the playoffs.
Might.
But
I might actually have a good coach actually calling plays now, though. So, I mean, that could be a difference.
well, see, my Steelers went the other way. We went the Maryland route.
Uh-huh.
We got Chase Claypool, wide receiver from Notre Dame, Alex Highsmith, linebacker from Charlotte. Is that a college or the town? I don't know. Anthony McFarland Jr., running back Maryland. Kevin Dotson, offensive guard Louisiana, not Louisiana State, Louisiana.
Right. Is that the Raging Cajuns or no? That's Tech. Right?
Tech. Yeah. Antoine Brooks Jr., safety out of Maryland. So we got 2 Marylands and a guy from Nebraska. Both of them are juniors. Anthony McFarland Jr. and Antoine Brooks Jr.
So they got some growing to do.
That's what my. And we didn't have a pick until the 49th pick in the second. Where the second.
Wow.
I'm sick of the draft with the Steelers.
Well, I tell you what, I think that the Cowboys chose a couple of guys that could come in and play immediately. Not everybody did that.
Yeah.
Some people are going to have to develop some of those kids.
Well, the Cowboys, their problem's never been draft. They've been good the last 6 to 8 years. They've been drafting really good players. Like they build a good team. It's just they don't have a guy to coach it. And hopefully now they might actually have a guy to coach it. Like I like their second round pick. I like the corner out of Alabama. Like he could be maybe the best corner besides the Ohio State guy, who was like hands down the best corner. Mm-hmm. And then I don't know. It's like all chalk until the Raiders went with the fast guy, which I think Ruggs is more than that, but it's still crazy because the first receiver off the board I thought he's good. I just don't think he's good as CD or Judy.
I don't either, but you've seen the success that some of these teams have had with those fast guys.
Yeah.
I think he's more than just a go guy. I think he can do more than that. He actually can run routes, stuff like that. It's just.
Well, I think what this draft may have shown a lot of people, take your fan glasses off, is that teams don't necessarily always take the best player.
Mm-hmm. Right.
They take what they need to fit. CD may be the great, it probably is the best receiver in the draft, but the Raiders didn't want the best receiver. They wanted a guy with speed.
Well, also hurt this draft too is that their receivers are so deep that you can get like first round talent in the third round. Like that guy from Clemson's legit. Any other year is a first round pick, and he's the first pick in the second round. Like I mean, this receiver class was so deep. It's just it wasn't like you didn't have to get it right away. You can get like a good player, second, third round, even fourth round. So,
but there are also those kids out there that no matter what you need. For instance, if Dallas was a first round pick, do they take Burrow? I mean, they got to, don't they?
Yeah.
Burrow's he's a once in a long time player. You got to take a kid like that, no matter if you need a quarterback or not.
That's the different. But you know what I mean. When you got the first couple of picks, you take the best players. But when you start getting down, you just saw, everything. What's the guy's name on ESPN that does all the stuff?
Kiper.
Mel Kiper Jr.
Yeah, Mel Kiper Jr. He wasn't expecting that, and whatnot. It's because, regardless of their talent, the teams are picking a guy that's going to fit what they want.
Yeah. Sure. It's
like I honestly only person team did was the Cardinals. They kind of need line help, but they went with maybe the best player in the draft, that linebacker out of Clemson, Simmons. Like that guy is a freak, and like they dropped to him. Like we can't not pass this guy up. Like he's just too good. Like the Browns are good though. They dropped maybe the best tackle. The Jets dropped a tackle. Bucks dropped their tackles. I mean, it's just people dropped what their needs were, kind of too.
And I haven't seen the grade outs on it, but I know that the Cardinals really helped themselves out. I think they're going to be pretty tough this year.
I know that what's the coach's name? Just went blank.
Kingsbury.
Man, I'm going senile tonight. Kingsbury probably had the nicest house of all the coaches.
Just showing off.
Yeah, a big glass window. Did you see it, Rob?
No, I didn't see it.
Looking out into the desert mountains, and then it shows
all marble floors.
Yeah, then it shows Bill Belichick and this like old dining room table with a computer
Which I
on
bet
it.
His house probably costs like 3 times more than Kingsbury house does. It was in Nantucket.
But you look at there was a meme out today that had Kingsbury sitting in his living room. It said 5 wins. Then it had Belichick, and it said, 6 rings.
Right.
That's the difference. Belichick is, in just looks like my dining room.
The teams freaking out the most were the Packers and the Eagles for drafting in the first 2 rounds. Packers draft the quarterback when they need receivers, and the Eagles draft Jalen in the second round, which I didn't see that coming at all. I think when the Eagles, that makes house crazy, but
yeah, that's something we can talk to Toby about.
So
too.
how's he going to back up Carson? It's Carson Wentz, right?
Yeah, I mean they're saying
they don't play the same game. How
they're saying they're going to be like the Saints with Taysom Hill. They're going to bring him out there like all the time. They're going to run him on the field all the time. Both of them on the field.
Really?
So I mean that's what the plan is.
Interesting.
Well, guys, we don't want to be late calling the man himself. So let's get T-Row on the phone.
Let's do it.
All right, Sooner fans, if you've asked for it. Once again, I'm going to say it again. It's proof that Rob and I are living right. We're not sure what Caleb's doing, but Rob and I are doing right because on the phone with us, you know him from his T-Row in the Morning Show on Sports Talk 1400, Sooner Sports Spotlight, Sooner Sports Talk, OU football press conferences. He's the voice of the Sooner, play-by-play of Sooners basketball, baseball, and, of course, Sooner football, Toby Rowland. Boomer, Toby.
Well, Sooner, but I'm doing none of those.
Right. Now. Well, that's what you're supposed to be doing. You're slacking.
Exactly right. I am bored out of my mind. You know, this, what are we going on? Almost 50 days now since the sports shutdown started. And I was sidelined about 4 weeks before that with a bad back. So I haven't gotten out of the house since about early February, and this is driving me nuts. So, listen, talking to you guys tonight is a vacation for me. I'm looking forward to this.
All right.
Well, and you know, with being down with the back, you missed the no hitter down in Texas, down in Houston, wasn't it? So you've missed a lot, and now just about the time, probably about the time you're ready to come back full swing is when everything collapsed, didn't it? Right at the same
That's
time?
right. The Big 12 tournament, basketball tournament, was the last thing I was going to have to miss. And I was going to jump back in the next week for the NCAA tournament and the rest of the baseball season. And then Rudy Gobert put a stop to all that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I missed the no-hitter. I missed the big comeback for the basketball team down at TCU, last game of the regular season. I found out, though, what it's like to be you guys. I was a nervous wreck being a fan. I did not handle it well at all. I was walking around the house, the no-hitter, I don't think I sat down for the last 4 innings. That comeback at TCU, my wife kept yelling at me because I was supposed to be careful. You know, that was not long after back surgery, and I kept jumping up and down off the couch, and she started yelling at me that, you know, I was going to hurt myself again. So I'm looking forward to getting back in the booth. It's a lot easier to be in the booth than to be a fan, I'll tell you that.
So it's not the same when you're behind the mic? You're not like a nervous fan like the rest of us?
No, I'm working. You know, I want them to win. Obviously, you can tell I get excited when they do good, but you're working. I mean, your mind's always racing to what needs to be next. What sponsor reads do I need to get in? Executing the call correctly, getting in and out of commercial breaks. If you're doing a football game, then you've got 4 other people on the air and a producer in your ear and an engineer in your ear. So, yeah, no, I'm working, and after a game, a lot of times I'll have a hard time winding down at night when I get home because I replay everything in my head, or I like to go back and watch it as a fan because I didn't really get to thoroughly enjoy it the first time through because, you know, it's a job. You want to do it well. So, no, it's an entirely different experience when I'm not behind the mic.
Interesting.
So, Sam, I've always wondered that. It's kind of like what Rob was just asking. I've always wondered, has there ever been a moment between plays or even during a play you've caught yourself, or even after, or let's say between plays, you go to commercial break and you go into the what were they thinking squib kick in the Rose Bowl? Just want, you know, what was that?
Repunt?
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, the repunt. Man.
You know, not at the time. Listen, the people I work with in football do plenty of that for me. I don't have to do that. So there may be a time when we go to a commercial break where Teddy or Gabe
That's what I was
something
thinking.
like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I could see one of those guys going, what was that?
No, I mean, listen, I enjoy it. You can tell some of those stupid videos that they put out of us in the booth during the calls. I look like a freaking idiot, and you can tell obviously you're into it. And there are a lot of times where, especially right before kickoff or right before tip-off of a big game, when you just kind of look around and soak it in, or maybe it's in the middle of an amazing game at a commercial break where you look around and go, I cannot believe this is what we get to do for a living, you know?
Yeah.
But there's not as much, for me anyway, my job is not to second guess coaching. when a game is going on, or to second guess player decisions, or all the stuff that you're doing as a fan at home. I mean, I get it. When you're at home, why did he take that shot? Why does he put Brady Manick back in the game? What in the world was Jalen thinking on that? You're trying to, in my seat, you're trying to execute the down and distance, who's got the ball, who made the tackle, how much time's on the clock. You know, you're trying to execute everything properly and not screw up the biggest play because you don't know when the biggest play is coming. And it's Teddy's job or Gabe's job or Merv or Chris or Kevin Henry or whoever to analyze and second guess and add analysis and all that stuff. So, I'm pretty focused on just trying to take care of the nuts and bolts of the broadcast so that the other guys can add the colorful analysis.
Hey, T-Row, you brought up Coach Merv. Is it okay to ask a question? Is he doing all right? I know he's involved in an accident.
He's doing great. Thank you for asking. He called me, probably 2 weeks ago now. And out of the blue one night, my phone rang, and it was Merv. And we had a great, probably 30-minute conversation. And he's doing great. He's a miracle. I don't know if everyone understands the severity of the car accident that he had. When I first got the call that night, it was grave. I mean, grave. And the fact that he is still alive and is doing as well as he is unbelievable, especially at his age, you know. Yeah. So he's walking 4 or 5 miles a day. He's healthy as can be, and has some he took a big hit to the head in that accident, so he has some lingering memory issues that he's working through, just some short-term stuff. But that's about it. I mean, he is very, very lucky to be alive and the toughest son of a gun that I've ever met.
Hallelujah. That's great news.
Yeah, that's great news.
Appreciate you sharing that.
I didn't know. I knew he was in a wreck, but I didn't, that he had been in the hospital, but I didn't know it was the severity was like that. But that's great too, because I ran into him a couple of times. It's living here in Norman. We all kind of run into some coaches every now and then, and he's always just one of the nicest guys.
I see him almost every day at the stadium. So.
Yeah. So, it's
genuinely nicest man in the world. I mean, and for his resume and the things he's accomplished in his life, he doesn't realize his accomplishments. He doesn't realize what a big deal he is, and would give you the shirt off his back. I mean, he is a treasure. I hope Sooner fans, I think they do. I think they realize what a treasure Merv Johnson is for all of us.
Yeah, and the crazy thing about Merv was not only back in the 80s did they have the Barry Switzer show, they had the Merv Johnson show too. he had his own show, and we watched it as much as we watched the Barry Switzer show. I mean, they always had a Merv show on. So, but that
my favorite thing about Merv is when the last 9 years now. When we're on the road, a lot of times on Friday night, we'll all go out and eat together somewhere, steakhouse or whatever is nearby. And Merv's stories are not like the rest of our stories. I mean, you and I can shoot the bull and say, man, remember back in 2011 when Brennan Clay had that overtime run, or remember Adrian Peterson breaking that tackle or something. Merv will start a story with, I remember I was coaching Joe Montana one day. And you'll be like, wait, what?
Man.
So his encyclopedia of football knowledge is amazing.
Yeah. Caleb, you want to?
Well, I was going to ask you, Colin, the voice of the Sooners, how do you keep us in the blowout games? Like, what's your strategy with stuff like that? Especially more on the bad side of it, like the LSU game. What's going through your head during games like that, to keep morale up?
Say that one more time. You cut out on me a little bit.
When we're the LSU game, games like that. How what's going through your mind to keep the morale of Sooner fans up, in games like that? Whenever we're we're not doing so well.
I don't think that it's necessarily my job to keep the morale of anybody up.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is, Toby. It is.
Well, I mean,
because you don't hear what the guys on TV are saying about us, so sometimes we turn you on during that time to
Yeah.
go, we need some sanity here because we're
Well, I'm definitely more optimistic than most.
Yeah.
And there have been occasions like the Baylor game this year, like Texas a couple of years ago, where it looks hopeless. And I think it's always great to point out that, you score here and you get a stop and you never know. And I can't tell you how many times during a commercial break, Gabe or Teddy have yelled at me and said, dude, we got no shot tonight. Why are you trying to keep? And sure enough, the Baylor comeback happens and I wink at him or something like that. So I'm pretty optimistic, but I don't see it. I think people see through that. If you are unrealistic, if I'm sitting there at halftime of the Peach Bowl and saying, I think OU's got a great shot in the second half, I lose credibility pretty fast.
Right.
So I think people just want you to be honest. They appreciate optimism, but there's a difference between optimism and dishonesty. So as long as you're honest with them, and lay out the facts and all that kind of stuff. Like I said, it's kind of the color analyst's job to fill in the blanks there. But I appreciate you turning me on when the TV guys. One of my favorite things to do is when we get the game notes every week is to look at who the TV guys are going to be that week, and I can usually tell by that how many listeners we're going to have.
the only thing,
if we get a bad crew, we're going to have a big audience.
Well, see, and that's the Rob and I have too many obnoxious friends, okay? Because we've done the syncing up the radio broadcast with the TV. I'm pretty good at that. But the problem is it's like, about 2 seconds behind, if maybe a little bit more than that. The problem is that somebody will text us, oh yeah, did you see that? And we'll look at each other and we're we're like, something's fixing to happen. It kind of takes. And
we had to stop looking at our phones,
yeah,
so that we could stay with the game. Yeah,
but that's one of the questions I've always thought is, I've had the Major League Baseball on Dish Network or DirecTV, and you go to watch baseball games on their Major League deal. You can watch the St. Louis Cardinals and the Pittsburgh Pirates, the Cardinals broadcast or the Pirates broadcast. It's the same game. It's the same cameras.
Yes.
Has there ever been talk about doing that with college football? Heck with having announcers, just let you guys do it, feed it into the TV. We would all love that a lot more than
definitely
some of them. All of them.
Well, that's nice of you. That's nice of you. And I do, they do that for the big bowl games, the playoff games. ESPN has that mega cast where they dedicate a channel to each of the school's radio broadcasts, and they lay the TV over it. And those are always really popular. I do think that technology is coming. I've heard through the pipeline, the guys over at Sooner Sports TV, that there is technology in the pipeline that they're working on to where options are available. Let's say you've got Roku or Apple TV or whatever, and you can do exactly what you said. You dial up the game, and you have three options of how to watch the game, either with the TV broadcast, the home radio, or the visiting radio broadcast. And it's got the TV laid over it. So I don't know how many years away that is, but I do know that is something that is being worked on. And, I'm really glad now that when I first started, the technology wasn't there to be able to sync the radio with the TV like it is now. And these sync radios and the streaming and how everybody's figured out how to rig their TVs and their radios or their internets to where they line up pretty close. So that's really cool. And I mean, there's no greater compliment for us in any sport than for people to text us or email us or tweet us or whatever and say, hey, I'm listening to you guys with the sound down on my TV. I mean, that means they're choosing you. Sometimes you're stuck in a car and you have no option but to listen to the radio. But when people are actively choosing to experience something as important as OU football, which means so much to so many people, when the option that they choose is we want to experience with you and your broadcast team. I mean, there's nothing that we love more than that. I mean, it's just the greatest feeling in the world. So hopefully we continue to move in the direction of more access, easier access. And I think we will. I mean, there's so many things going on with streaming TV and everything these days that I don't think it'll be that far away. I hope not.
Well, see, you were talking about all those fancy things on how to sync it and everything. This is how I synced it. I put the TV on pause, and I listened to you. And when I figured y'all were, I could tell by what was going on, where I paused it at and how y'all were talking, I would hit start again. And I got pretty good at it.
Pretty close. Close
know?
Enough for us.
Close enough,
yeah.
you know, but there, I didn't have any tools.
So you're listening to the stream.
Yes, I'm listening to the stream,
yeah.
and I have to pause my TV and let the stream catch up to the TV, and it's just a guess. I can, I'll let it play, and I can kind of see what's going on TV, and I can hear you guys talking, and you usually got to wait till right about kickoff. And when you start talking about, he's lined, I have it about where the kicker is lined up, and then we go. Now, there's been times where it's been a little bit behind, and we got to pause for a second and let it catch up. But, and then, like I said, then you got, Yahoos out there texting us during the game. Did you see that? And no, we haven't seen it yet. Stop. But
no, I'm with you, and that's that's one of the best ways to do it. And I have done that exact thing when I was out with my back surgery. I wanted to listen to, Chad McKee and Kevin Henry, or Tom Dorr and Kevin Henry on the radio call. And so I'd pause the TV and make it line up, and you'd be just off or whatever. There's no greater feeling than when you finally get it exactly with what's going on the TV. So I feel you.
Hey, Toby, Terry and I are big baseball fans, and we like to go to OU baseball games, but we're big pro fans too. But we were so excited for this pro year because there was going to be so many beaned Astros, but we were even more excited for the Sooners because we thought Coach Johnson's squad was going to be so good this year. How are you feeling about that squad, and have you got any interesting news for us in that regard?
Who are your favorite pro teams?
Well, I'm kind of we're Rangers. I'm a Rangers fan just because that's all, like Rangers and Braves. That's all you get to see when you're a kid growing up in rural Oklahoma. So I kind of grew up as a Braves fan and then a Rangers fan. But I'm just a big fan of pro baseball. So I kind of like them all.
That's how I am. If I have a team, it's the Cardinals, and the Pirates, and then just baseball. I will go to, me and Rob and Caleb, we will go to any baseball park and watch a baseball game. I don't care who's playing. Yeah. But we like Rob said, we were looking forward to watching dodgeball, with the Houston Astros this year. And that's been ruined.
Yeah, I know. I think Major League Baseball will fire up here eventually at some point. I'm a big Cincinnati Reds fan. Huge Cincinnati Reds fan. My dad was because of Johnny Bench, Binger.
Yeah.
And so I hooked on to that, and then we lived up near Cincinnati for my high school years, and we would go to 10, 15 games a year or more, and really became a huge. That was during the 90s when they won the World Series in 1990 over the Oakland A's. So this is we made some big off-season acquisitions, and this was the year finally that Cincinnati was going to try to challenge in the National League Central, maybe legitimately. I don't know. We may have had our hopes up, but so I'm devastated we're not playing baseball right now. I was so looking forward to that season. But as it pertains to OU, I'm just crushed, man. I think they had a legitimate shot at Omaha this year. And with that rotation and the depth in that bullpen, and the surprising thing is they were hitting the baseball.
Yeah, they were.
I didn't think this team had any power at all, and they had some decent power numbers. Tanner Treadaway was lighting it up early. But, I don't know if the hitting would have continued, but that pitching was as good as anybody in the country.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they had a great shot at least hosting a regional and making a run this year, and for the carpet to get pulled out from under him was just crushing. I know for Skip and for those guys, and they had such great chemistry this year, and it already had given us some unbelievable highlights before conference play ever got here.
Oh,
so
yeah.
I'm very curious to see how this whole extra year of eligibility thing plays itself out. As you guys know, if you follow college baseball, it is unlike any other sport on campus when it comes to scholarships and roster sizes and everything. And figuring out, well, we haven't even had the draft yet, the major league draft. So who goes in that? How many rounds are there going to be? Who that is coming out of high school thought they might be going to the major league draft but isn't, and is now headed to OU on top of all the seniors that are coming back? How big's your roster? How do you get everybody playing time? How do you divvy up the scholarship money? It's a mess it's a nightmare for the guy, Ryan Gaines specifically probably, who has to figure all that stuff out. But on the field, they could be scary next year. They're going to be down Cavalli. They're probably going to be down Prater. I mean, those two guys are probably, headed to the draft. But the guys that they have coming back is pretty unbelievable. So, I mean, I just hope they can re-rack it and get themselves back to being a legitimate contender. I think long-term, we have already seen what this program is going to look like under Skip Johnson, and they are going to recruit and develop pitching at the highest level. I mean, if you want to be a major league pitcher, Oklahoma is going to be high on your radar when you're coming out of high school. And so I think as long as Skip is here, Oklahoma is always going to be, among the tops in the Big 12 and among the tops in the country in pitching depth. I don't think that'll ever change. If they can continue to get enough bats, then he may be building something pretty scary here.
Okay, here's a question I got for you for the, as far as broadcasting these games. Do each of these sports know that you do the other sport? Because I have seen you do a football game on Saturday, a basketball game on Sunday, and I'm pretty sure, like tennis or wrestling Sunday night, something like that. And then the same goes in the spring, you're doing a basketball game, and then you're turning around doing a baseball game. I mean, do they not know you do, do they not think you need a day off? How do you prepare? I mean, how do you go from Oklahoma playing, I don't know, pick a team, Kansas State on Saturday night, getting up Sunday afternoon and calling a basketball game? How in the world do you do that? How do you prepare for that?
Well, it's kind of what you live for. I mean, if this is the profession you chose, the biggest rush you get is actually calling the games. And when the overlap happens between football and basketball, it is crazy busy. But at the same time, I mean, there's a game going on seemingly all the time. So you're either calling a game or getting ready for a game every day. And the same when basketball overlaps with baseball. I wish I could get to more. Basketball took a trip to Portland this year that I didn't get to go on. That would have been a blast. Early baseball trips I rarely get to go on. They go out to California, or this year they went to Florida to open the season against Virginia. And inevitably I don't get to make those trips because it's a weekend and basketball teams playing on a weekend. So it kills me when I can't make it to a game. If I'm healthy and I can't make it to a game, I feel like I'm letting them down and I should be there. So I don't know how to answer that other than, yeah, they're aware. If anything, they try to slow down my eagerness to try to do everything. We had a situation a couple of years ago when the basketball team was in one of these early season tournaments in Orlando, and the football team was playing that Saturday in Morgantown. And so I called the Friday game in Orlando for basketball, flew up Saturday, did the football game in Morgantown, and flew back and did the Sunday basketball game in Orlando. And, on paper, that's pretty cool to get to fly back and forth and do all those games. By the end of the weekend, I went from warm weather to cold weather back to warm weather. My voice was kind of hanging by a string. And I think Kenny Mossman or Joe or somebody, when I got back, said, maybe we should think that through before we try to get that, do that much again. So, if anything, they're very happy for me to call as much as I can, but they look out for me. Joe and the guys and Eric Barnhart and the guys at Learfield try to protect me as much as possible, just so I don't get sick or my voice go out or, run myself ragged and see my family once in a while. But it's fun. I like the preparation. I like the calling of the games. I like traveling with the teams, the rush of being in the arena. So I try to do as much as I can.
Okay, one thing I also I want to ask about the hoodie gate at the Baylor game, where you guys threw the hoodies up, correct, for the comeback.
Correct.
Okay, you need to understand. Rob over here does not believe in that stuff.
No.
Now, me and Caleb, my son, Caleb is my son, so I buy a new game day shirt every year.
Same.
And if we lose, I don't wear that shirt for the next game. I might go buy another one. Like Stoops last year, I went through 3 shirts and 3 hats, I think, because we lost to Houston. And then that was.
The 8-5 season must have been very expensive for you.
It sounds like an expensive psychosis to me, Terry.
But then you also have the rally patio, which if we're losing, they go out in the patio and watch the game on the patio.
Yeah, we have living when we're away games. We've got a 65-inch Samsung curved TV, all the fancy stuff. But if we need to rally, we go out on
a humble brag.
we go out on the patio. Okay, which has a 19-inch flat screen, and we stand on the patio. We don't sit; we stand on the patio.
It's snowing outside, but it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I'm usually the first one to go out there, and I'll stand. And Rob will come out there. He doesn't believe in it, but he'll come out there. But we call it the rally patio. Where we record the podcast we call it the Podcast Palace, which is just a room that I've done up with Steelers gear and Sooners gear because I'm a Steelers fan too. And I have only watched one game in this room, one Oklahoma football game. And that was the Iowa State game that we lost.
Yeah, and I tried to drag him out of here at halftime. He wouldn't listen to me.
Yeah, for some reason, we didn't go to the game, and I was sitting here, and Caleb kept coming in here going, "Dad, let's go out on the rally patio." And I'm like, we should not need the rally patio for Iowa State. I refuse to put it into place. And we've lost. I've never watched another OU game in here, away game.
Listen, Toby, I'm seeking help for him. I'm trying to get him some professional help. So,
but you guys put the hoodies up and didn't take them down for the rest of the game, correct?
That's right. Yeah.
And what did Coach ask you at the coaches show at Rudy's? Did he ask you what took you so long?
Why didn't you? I think what took you so long? Why didn't you do it at kickoff or something like that?
So
listen, I would lean more toward Rob. I'm not superstitious.
Thank you, Toby.
But I mean, the reality of the situation is where you're watching the game. Like, can you imagine the scenario where we all get to heaven someday? And you say, "God, why did we lose to Iowa State?" And he said, "Because Terry wouldn't move out of his."
Don't say that, okay?
Yeah, I don't think he's going to say that, Terry. I think he's going to go, "Yeah, Terry, you shouldn't have been smoking that stuff."
He's not going to say the whole reason OU came back in Waco is, forget Jalen Hurts, forget the turnovers that were forced in the game, or Nick Benito. It was all because they put their hoods up in the radio booth. It had nothing to do with it.
It might have been, Toby. It might have been that one, that the good Lord may have been sitting there going, Nick Benito is going to do this and this, but if Toby don't have his hood up,
he's going to drop it.
He's going to drop it. You don't know, so why take that chance?
It is true. They had already dropped the Sikkim Jesus that night, so who knows what might have turned everything back in the right direction. So, but if it was up to me, and I realized this painfully early calling baseball at OU, I would tell you in the 5th inning that Dane Acker has a no-hitter. I don't think it has anything to do with it. Vin Scully said, I think he's called like 30 no-hitters in his career, 40 no-hitters, something like that. And he said, I started telling folks they had no-hitters in the 5th inning of every one. He said, it's my job to tell you if you're listening to the radio that somebody's got a no-hitter. I mean, how else are you going to know? So that's kind of where I would fall. However, I got beaten over the head so much by saying somebody hasn't given up a hit or you know how superstitious baseball is more than anything.
Mm-hmm.
And I realize how superstitious fans are out there that I've kind of, I've tried to adopt it more. Now, we've never done anything like that for football. I had a rally skunk, I think, for baseball a few years back where, we came back one game and when I can't remember how it started. We had a stick with a skunk on the end of it. We stuck out the radio booth and OU got on a hot streak and everybody believed in the power of the rally skunk for a while. The greatest example recently anyway is we had a baseball game in Kansas State last year when OU was losing. I think it was Sunday. I know it was Sunday. It was the decisive game of the series. And in the 7th inning, a gentleman comes in and sits in my radio booth, which never happens. Like, I'm calling the game. Not somebody, not an OU fan, nobody I ever know before, comes in and just sits with me and starts watching the game. And OU scores a run and scores another run, and before you know it, they've got the lead, and the guy's still sitting there. I don't know, he's not wearing K-State stuff or OU stuff or anything. And I finally turn around in a commercial break, and I say, how you doing tonight, sir? And he said, yeah, I'm doing good. And I said, can I help you with anything? Because it's weird that somebody comes into my booth in the middle of calling a game. And he said, I just thought I'd take a load off for a while, and this looked like a good place to sit. So I was like, all right, well, my name's Toby. And he said, my name is Mo. And I said, you've got to be kidding me. Oh, you came back and won the game when Mo came into my radio booth, which, is, what do we all talk about? Uncle Mo and momentum and everything. So I'm not a big believer in that, but that was such a depressing first half in Waco. Embarrassing.
Mm-hmm.
They're chanting overrated in the second quarter. They're just getting their doors blown off.
Oh, yeah, it was ugly.
And we're at halftime, and everybody, even, in the radio booth, we're all looking at each other like, golly, we got a whole nother half. I mean, it was similar to the feeling at halftime of the Peach Bowl. We're like, they might as well end the game now. So we start the second half, and I'm just happen to be wearing a jacket with a hood on it, and I said, all right, we're going hoodies up, everyone. And it was a chilly night, so everybody had their uniform hoodies and everything. So everybody put their hoodies up, and sure enough, what happened. So whether you believe in it or not, it was a pretty magical night, and the hoodies are famous forever. We used them a couple of more times down the stretch that season to pull out some wins for us.
Did you use them down in at the Peach Bowl?
No, we did not.
See, there you go. If you would have had them at the Peach Bowl, thrown them on at halftime, who knows what would have happened, Toby?
Knew that was coming.
Possible.
You set me up. Rob looked at me like, don't go there, Terry. And I'm like, that's it. We now understand. If you would have,
I'll take the blame.
But I'm like, hey, that had to be, like Katie was saying, is the morale. Your radio broadcast, you're so excitable, you're into the game. Something like that it has to be almost agonizing to have to sit there and call it. And I know it's a job, and it's a job first, fan second. Do what?
Yeah, no, it's miserable.
Yeah,
and there's been a few of those. Fortunately, not as many as have gone the other way, but there's been the Clemson, the Russell Athletic Bowl.
Yeah.
there was a basketball game my first year at Missouri when we were down 40 at halftime. There was a
The Nova game,
baseball
the Final
game.
Four.
Villanova! Please don't.
I was at work.
Oh,
I was at
God.
work listening to it. And I could just hear the pain in your voice the whole time.
Yeah, I mean, listen. My opinion is the best thing you can do in that situation is just to properly reflect what everybody else is feeling out there.
Yeah.
You know, and it stinks.
It made no
And
sense. It made no sense at all, that game.
You get so excited for big games like that, and then it starts going the other direction, and before you know it, it's a blowout, and you're on the wrong end of it, and all you can do is try to say what you feel like the fans are feeling.
Yeah.
Again, it comes back to being honest. You know, you just kind of be honest with them. Man, this is not what we expected at all. This, pardon my French, but sucks. And hopefully we'll go get them next time.
Yeah, I agree with those. Hey, Toby, I wanted to ask you, with all the things that are going on right now with this COVID, and we don't know what the future may hold, and we're hearing that football could be a year from now. What if we can get this thing under control? How soon can we get back on track? And is the season completely lost for this next year? If that's okay to ask,
in your opinion,
yeah.
Or if you know anything, feel free to break it now.
No, what was the last part of the question about the season being lost?
Yeah, is that a done deal? I mean, is the season?
Oh, no.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
I had Joe on my radio show Friday, and I asked him, what in your mind is the deadline when you have to make a decision by, or when college football has to make a decision by, if we're going to start on time?
Mm-hmm.
And he said mid-June. Because everything that goes into getting ready for a season, it's getting the football team ready, which is a big deal, but it's much more than that. It's the stadium and tickets and parking and concessions. It's a monster. Everything that goes into getting ready for a football season. Mm-hmm. And he said mid-June, which is a month and a half away. And I think we're starting to see positive signs already, and I don't know where we're going to be in a month and a half. One thing that is a burr in my saddle throughout this thing is people who act like they know everything about what's going on with a virus that has never existed before.
Right.
They're experts on the virus, or they're experts on how to reopen an economy in the middle of a virus. I don't know anything, man. I have no idea. I don't know when it's okay to go outside. I have no idea when we need to start doing things again for our economy to survive. I'm a broadcaster. I'm not an economist. I'm not a doctor. I just do what people tell me. I trust that experts out there are experts for a reason, and if they tell me it's okay to do something, then I don't try to fix my own transmission, for Pete's sake. I'm certainly not going to try to tell you what's going on with some disease that's never existed before. But
we need to go sit Holiday Inn.
There you go. I'll pull my hoodie up or something. I think that if there's no football season, it's a disaster for colleges. Mm-hmm. So somehow, some way, there will be a college football season. Worst case scenario, it's in the spring, and that causes all sorts of complications and brings up a ton of other questions pertaining to the year after that. But, I think there'll be a college football season. Now, it may be delayed. It may be shortened. I saw a scenario that somebody threw out the other day of it being half in the fall, half in the spring, which seems odd, but I don't know. I'm an optimist, like you guys have already said. I think we're going to play, and I think we're going to start on time. And I think school's going to be open, and warmer weather's going to kind of kill this thing. But again, I don't know. So I think that, to answer your question, I think they need to probably make a decision in mid-June, maybe early July. They could push it at most if they're going to start on September 5th, like they're planning on.
Now, I got a question coming off of that. Are you prepared to call games with no fans? And how weird is that going to be, calling games with no one in the stands at all? It's just the players out there. Like, have you done anything close to like that at all? Or like
Yes. I've called non-conference basketball games in the Lloyd Noble Center for 9 years now.
that's true.
So your experience, that was an easy one.
Yeah. I need a rim shot for that one. That was pretty good. Yeah, it'll be weird. I think it'll be, that we were close to doing that for basketball, the NCAA tournament. And I think it would be weirder for basketball and baseball than for football, because you're sitting courtside for basketball. And if there are no fans there, then everybody hears everything you say, including the officials. And that would have been bizarre. And I've been in some baseball stadiums where the booth is so close to the field that the umpires and the guys batting can hear you calling out balls and strikes, and they'll turn around and look at you if you said, I've said that one looked outside, and the umpire will turn around and give me a look or something like that. So, but football, you're so removed up in the booth that I don't think it would be, it would be weird. I mean, it's going to be weird for everybody for there not to be a roar when somebody breaks off a 75-yard touchdown run or whatever. But it's not going to be hard to get excited and let loose, and I think people are going to need it.
Yeah.
If there's no crowd, you're going to need the radio crew to make you feel like you're there, and so it's going to be up to us to kind of try to provide some of that energy that's missing.
Do you think it could affect the game at all? Because can you feel the momentum swing on the road and stuff like that? Like, do you think that could make a difference at all, though? Like on road games, and because you can watch a game, you can just feel the crowd change. You can see the players' emotions change.
Well, the Baylor game was that way. I mean,
you saw the crowd it was opposite for them.
They went from.
Oh yeah,
that's another thing.
I love that, by the way.
Yeah.
But every game's a neutral site. If you don't have a crowd, then crowds change games. I mean, they really do. You ride momentum in all sports of crowds, and so it'll be like every game's a neutral site game, and
so we should have
advantage. It'll be easier probably to win on the road.
We should have advantage with Texas then, because we're used to neutral games. So
what would they do with the OU Texas game? Where would that be played?
I don't know. Great question,
Norman.
I don't know.
That's when we just thought about that last week when we were talking about this. It was like, wait a minute, what would they do with the OU Texas game? Would they play it at a high school stadium in Dallas or
play at the Star?
Gun Bowl.
Yeah, maybe at the Star. That'd be a good idea.
Yeah. But see, what you should do, though, if that happens, Toby, is, instead of being up in the booth, just get down on about, row 60 or, on the 50-yard line, set up all your gear there. That would be better.
No, thank you.
No.
The baseball booth at TCU is outside, and that's not the only one, but in the Big 12, it's the only one. It's in the upper deck, the second level. And, you're not only are you completely surrounded by TCU fans that can hear everything you say. And, if OU hits a home run, I'm getting excited, and they're not. So they're all giving me dirty looks. But you're also open to the weather. And so wind and rain, and I get a sunburn every time I go to Fort Worth. So I got no desire to be sitting out in the stands in the middle of a football game. That sounds like a nightmare.
Especially not early September or late August, right?
No.
All right.
Yeah.
So the coaches show, is he still going to have a coaches show if the season is pushed back? Because Terry and I are big fans of we go every, Tuesday night to the coaches show. So we were just kind of wondering about that.
Man, listen, we haven't made a decision on whether we're playing college football this year, much less whether we're having a show at Rudy's on Tuesday nights. I would say if football's being played and fans are there, then we're having a coaches show.
Having it. Yeah.
Because I need some barbecue in my life, and I think everybody enjoys it. So hopefully so.
Well, saying here, before we started this podcast, Rob and I went to Rudy's on Tuesday nights, and we've had this ongoing competition, and what is, every game we throw up questions, and it's basically
I'm aware.
Yeah, basically I'm like Oklahoma, and Rob is the Oklahoma State of having questions asked. Is there a reason why you don't?
What's the score right now?
I don't know. It was up about 20-something to 10, wasn't it, Rob?
I don't think so, Terry. Every question of mine that gets asked is worth 2 points, and his are only worth 1. So I think it's pretty even, Toby. So
yeah, Rob used to, when we first started the competition, because I always kind of asked the silly questions.
Yeah, you do.
And Rob's like, how does he ask that question? And because I had the one time it was
the mullet.
Yeah, it was Gundy's mullet. Your visor and Ditka's mustache gets in a fight. Who wins? That's the question you're asking. Rob tries.
Did I ask that one?
Yes, you did. And Rob, you didn't ask Rob's question, and you literally almost gave Rob a stroke right there in the middle of the.
Which mine was very professional and very technical.
So I'm winning. So.
I wish I could say that there was a scientific process to getting your question on the show. Between the questions we get in house and the questions we get on Twitter, I mark the ones on Twitter that I think are good possibilities, and then the ones that come in house, I look at them, and if I think it's a possibility, there's a keep pile and there's a discard pile. And on Twitter and in house, some of them are either something I'm already going to ask myself. I'm not going to, I don't know. I can't think of anything right now. But if it's something obvious that needs to be in the first 2 blocks as a part of our conversation, I'm probably not going to rely on the fan to say, boy, what a game, the question said, hey, what a game CD had or something. I mean, we're going to have touched on that,
Mm-hmm.
So some of them get discarded because I'm already going to ask it anyway. Some of them are mean-spirited.
No. You mean to tell me somebody has sent you something about getting, firing somebody? They want you to ask that question. Yeah. God.
Yeah, or they're upset about something and they want to ask a snarky question because they want to hear, their name on TV and say, oh, look, I got Lincoln tonight or something. You guys all remember the Bob Stoops show and how he gets sideways once in a while. So
yeah,
some of them are that, and some of them just, I ran out of time. Some of them were in the keep pile, and either he brought it up or we touched on the topic or we ran out of time or whatever. So I tried to get good questions in there that I hadn't thought of. Sometimes questions I had thought of, but I'll just, throw them a bone and say it was from Big Rob instead of me or something like that because I want to get more fan interaction in there. Sometimes I don't want to skip over the critical stuff. I don't want the show to not have any hard-hitting questions to it. So there are times when the defense gives up, let's say the Texas Tech game in 2016, okay? The bad night for the defense. And we get 50 questions that night of people saying, Mike Stoops should be fired. What's wrong with your defense? Are you blind? Or all that kind of stuff. Whatever they say.
Yeah.
Well, I can't pass the buck to the fans on that. I kind of got to stand up and say, all right, let's talk about your defense. It's kind of my responsibility to some extent to ask some tough questions when they need to be asked. So I don't know. I don't think there's a perfect, I want to get a good mix, maybe 8 to 10 fan questions a night. Sometimes they're funny. Sometimes they're serious. I'm never going to get an answer to an injury question. You guys know that one.
Oh, yeah.
Every week somebody will say, is so-and-so going to play this Saturday? Well, we're not going to get that answer. So some of them are mean-spirited, like I said, but I am aware of your competition. And anytime a question comes up, when a question comes up with your names on it, I do read it twice just to make sure there shouldn't be on the show.
I see. That's good to know.
All right.
But also on the coach's show, do you think Lincoln could be duped at all? And does it seem to amaze you at all that he remembers every play? Like, is it like, that still blows my mind every time. He just gets every play, like everything with it.
It's
like,
crazy.
do you think anyone can get him? Because I have yet to see him fail one. Has he failed one? Like,
He's failed
Yeah,
two.
one-
two?
One the first time. Yeah, it's two, isn't it? That's all of these failed. But it's it's funny
He
when
was close, though.
when the screen comes on, he'll tell you, "Oh, that's not it. This is," and he'll start telling you what's happening before.
Yeah, he was real close.
You know, we've had. I think you're right. I think you missed one each year. They've done some ESPN Game Day to the story on that, and some national people have asked whether or not we're feeding him information. Like, you know, is that a setup? Are we setting that up? And the answer is unequivocally no. And I am as amazed as everyone else out there is, because I can't remember what I had for dinner tonight, much less what play we ran in 2012 or whatever. So, you know, Teddy, I thought, tried to get pretty smooth this year by not just asking for scoring plays, you know, not just picking out big moments. He went to kind of normal second down plays in the third quarter, and he still got them, man. And then one time, like, I think the most amazed I've ever been is this year he asked him for it was a scoring play, and it was a tough one, but he got it. And then he had like a bonus question. He said, well, what got the ball to that yard line in the first place? And it was a totally broken play that Baker went the wrong way. He busted on it and ended up running for like 20 yards. And he remembered that. And then he just started rambling the play before that and the play before that. And I mean, he's a savant, you know, I mean, he's a genius, and he's got an unbelievable memory. And I think that's part of his secret, is when he's in the middle of a game, he remembers what has worked before in situations like that. Like, specifically, 4 years ago, we had a 2nd and 2 on the opponent's 31-yard line, and Kansas State did this, and I did that, and it worked, so let's try it again or whatever. I mean, who remembers that? He does.
Yeah.
So I think that's part of his magic.
Well, I mean,
very impressive.
You see all the, you know, him and Mike Leach are the only two guys I know that walk around with a pencil and a piece of paper on the sidelines. Everybody else has this multicolored, you know, poster board with all these plays, and it's like like you said, it's like it's scripted, and it's, you know, and he's even said that on the coaches show. It's you know, I have an idea of what I'm going to do, but if X, Y, and Z happens, well, I've got to be ready to go X, Y.
By the way, when Clark Stroud got a hold of that was so funny.
That was funny.
That was funny.
That's one of my goals. That's one of my goals for, you know, hopefully he's here for, you know, for the next 30 years, and I am too. But if we ever part ways for whatever reason, I would like to get one of his play cards, because, you know, apparently, and I think he's talked about this on the radio show too, it looks like he's holding an index card, basically, or a piece of paper the size of an index card.
But it's
folded. It is folded.
Yeah, it's folded in a particular way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like origami. Like, he's got different ways he can fold it, so he sees different, I don't know, I'm assuming down in distances, or I don't know if it's organized by passing and running plays or what, but I'd love to see the system that he has for what looks like just a tiny piece of paper, because I understand it's much more detailed than that.
Well, see, it's kind of like, you know, he sounds kind of like me and Rob, you know, back when Caleb was little. We coached Caleb's and Rob's son Michael's team, and we had a running back that was kind of okay, Sterling Shepard.
You may have heard of him.
Yeah, you might have heard of him. And
yeah, I've heard of him.
Yeah,
this is 4th grade now. So
yeah, 4th grade. And so,
stuff.
you know, Rob and I kind of had that, you know, same type of deal going. You know, Rob would turn to me and go, "What do you think?" And I'd go, "Give it Sterling." Okay. You know?
it was real thick playbook. I got to be honest with you. Yeah.
Which side? I don't know. The left.
By the way, we take full credit for teaching Sterling everything he knows about football.
Yeah. You know, but yeah, he was, you know, it was like, "What do you think, Terry?" "Yeah, give it to Sterling again, Rob." I mean, that was, you know, And if you weren't giving it to Sterling, you would tell Sterling to go block the corner. And
Let's fake giving it to somebody else and give it to Sterling.
but Sterling, if you told him to go block somebody, that guy was generally,
He was happy.
yeah. But the kid that he hit was usually over on the sidelines pretty quick, because that little kid was,
Oh man,
he was amazing back then. But but yeah, him and Caleb they were best buds in grade school.
Yep.
So
And then he got recruited to
That's awesome.
the football pretty much academy pretty much in 5th grade, because they came and got him pretty much in 5th grade.
it was funny. He'd be over at the house, and his mom would come and get him to take him to the OU game wherever it was at. And I'd always ask him, I said, Sterling, why don't you ever take me? And he'd just get real quiet and look at me, and he'd go, they won't let me, Coach. That's what he always called me then. They won't let me go. Have you asked? No. Well, ask.
and such a great kid too.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my gosh, he was so good.
But
That's awesome.
we had Rob, do you got anything else? Or
No,
Caleb?
no, please go ahead.
Because
Yeah.
we're going to do what our fans love. This is a game that is called Sooner Not a Sooner. Very simple game, Toby. Okay.
Oh boy.
I'm going
Okay.
to give you a name, and you tell us whether it was a Sooner or not, or whether he's a Sooner or not a Sooner.
So this is your opportunity to make me look like a fool.
And
Well, there are bonus points if you can tell if it's not a Sooner. There are bonus points here for you if you can tell us where.
yeah, what they are, or even bonus points if you know when the player played, and so on and so forth. Okay.
But the points don't matter.
I'm going to
Okay.
tell you right now, I'm not going to be very good at this game.
Well, I'll tell you right now, I wouldn't be very good if I didn't have a piece of paper in front of me. So, but we're going to start. You all ready?
Yep.
Okay. Steve Latimer, Sooner or not a Sooner?
Do I have a time limit on these things?
Well, you can't pick up your phone and Google it, okay?
Steve Latimer was he was not a Sooner.
Correct. Do you know who Steve Latimer was?
I have no idea who that is.
I don't.
Caleb, you were just talking about it.
Oh, he's the guy from
The program. Caleb watched the program
Yeah, I watched
last
the program.
night. He was the linebacker on the movie The Program. His name is Andrew Bernarski.
Okay, here's another. I'm gonna let you guys in on another Toby Rowland secret.
Okay.
A black hole of lack of knowledge when it comes to movies. Also, because I grew up in a Nazarene parsonage, and I was not allowed to go to movies. I never went to a single movie until I went to college.
Wow.
So, yeah, I am way behind on movie knowledge, to which all of my friends think it's hilarious. They'll bring up, like, I've never seen Karate Kid, for example.
You've okay.
What you got
I'll
going
give you
on?
a second to let your jaws get
Yeah,
up on
that's
the
what
floor.
how old? Okay, you went to. How old are you, roughly?
I'm 46.
Okay, so you've been
Exactly.
out of college 22 years. That's plenty of time to see the Karate.
Well, I would say you're normally really busy, but I mean,
Yeah,
last,
that's going to be way down the list. Yeah.
I saw Princess Bride 2 months ago for the first time because
it's a great
somebody
movie.
finally made me watch it. So,
Life changing.
Yeah.
Life
So there you
changing.
go.
Okay.
No, I didn't.
Didn't care for it. Okay.
Next
all
one.
right.
Next one. Horace Ivory, Sooner or not a Sooner?
Horace Ivory absolutely was a Sooner.
Okay. What position and what years? Do you know?
He was a running back, and it would have been 70s,
Yeah, mid 70s.
mid 70s.
74 to 76.
Yeah.
70s.
Okay.
Right.
Ron,
2 for 2. 2 for 2.
Ron Frisk, Sooner or not a Sooner?
What's the last name?
Frisk.
Frisk, like you're getting frisked at an airport?
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
I've never heard the name Ron Frisk before, so I'm going to say not a Sooner. Wait. Yeah, I've never heard the name Ron Frisk. I'm going to say not a Sooner.
He was a Sooner. He was a guard in 1968 and 69.
See, that shouldn't count.
Okay, now come on. Now, Pete's sake.
And I forgot this is, Sooner Not a Sooner is brought to you by Soonerstats.com, by the way. That's where we get our stats out.
I'm going to put my rally hood up.
Oh, it's rally hood time.
Rudy Zoltek, Sooner Not a Sooner?
Rudy Zoltek. Another name I've never heard of before.
It's a cool name.
Not a Sooner.
You're correct. Not a Sooner.
Sounds like a movie. That sounds like you dragged that one out of a movie.
Yeah. Caleb, do you know who it is?
No,
Rob?
no, 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 it is.
That he was the offensive guard on the Little Giants.
Oh,
Rudy was the big kid that
you rang?
you rang,
Yeah.
and they called him. Let's see here.
I'm in shocking news. I've never seen The Little Giants.
You may not do very well at the knowing who the non Sooners are.
I'm 3-1 so far.
3-1, though, yeah. The one you got was a 1960 guard, so.
Yeah. You can even go. Let's see here. I'm trying to remember who the first one I asked was. See, I should have brought my pen.
Yeah, that's rookie move right
It
there.
was
We'll let
a
you
movie. The movie.
Yeah, this guy from the program.
Kenny King, Sooner not a Sooner.
Kenny King, great running back. Oakland Raiders, absolutely.
Yeah, they got that one.
That was fast.
You're giving him watermelons here. He's just swatting them out of the park. Come on.
Keep them coming.
Yeah. Paul Miliazzo, Sooner not a Sooner.
Paul Miliazzo, absolutely a Sooner.
Yeah. 1980. I even pronounced his name right.
Great guy. We've met him.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he did the podcast with us. Him and
Wallace Marsh.
Wallace Marsh came over and
Yeah.
How about that?
When
Very cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they were doing the wrestling room for
Had the big national championship ring on, too. That was
Yep.
cool. Yep.
Nice.
Luther LeVay, Sooner not a Sooner.
Luther LeVay. Again, sounds like a movie name to me. I'm going to say not a Sooner.
Not a Sooner. Anybody know who that is?
Is he a superhero?
No, it was Luther Shark LeVay,
From,
played by Lawrence Taylor on Any Given Sunday.
Yeah.
Oscar Butts, Sooner not a Sooner.
Oscar Butts?
Yep.
I'm going to pray that's not a Sooner. Surely I would have known that name if it was a Sooner by now. Oscar Butts? I feel like you're going to tell me he was a Sooner.
He was a Sooner. He was an offensive guard in the mid-'60s.
So you need to
That's
work up your mid-60
disappointing,
guards.
but I've gotten this far. Didn't know about Oscar Butts.
Let's see here.
Is there how many is a normal amount of Sooner non-Sooner questions?
We just go until it sounds like we're bored.
You get tired?
Yeah. Well, here, I'll just go ahead. We were doing a deal, too. Oscar Butts we have George Cumby was a Sooner.
Sure.
What about Leon Mule Train Heath?
Yeah, of course. Leon was a Sooner.
Yeah, 48-50.
Yeah.
I think he's done better than anybody else that was on the show.
Yeah.
So
Did you guys watch the 1956 alumni game that we aired, by the way?
No, I did not.
didn't even know that was a thing.
Well, we're.
I think it's coming back on this week, maybe Wednesday afternoon. Anyway, Teddy and they found footage of the 1956 OU alumni game, and but it didn't have any sound on it. So Teddy and I called the game. It's only a half hour, and they have it chopped up and stuff over Zoom. And back then it was the spring game, but you guys remember they used to have the alumni
right.
come back and play the varsity, and it was a big deal. I mean, it was a knockdown, drag out. They played all out to kill each other game. And so 1956 was in the middle of the 47-game winning streak. So Bud's team is killing everybody. Well, here comes the alumni in, and the alumni's got Billy Vessels on it and a bunch of studs. And the alumni team beat them 10-0. But every play, it's unbelievable, because you would have Jimmy Harris handing it to Tommy McDonald, who's tackled by Billy Vessels, and then the next carry is Clendon Thomas, and here's Jim Weatherall. And I mean, it's a who's who of 1950 Sooner history, and it's only a half hour long. They edited it down, and if you're an OU football fan, especially an old time OU football fan, you'll love it. It's very cool.
No, I'm gonna have to watch that.
Definitely. I got to get TV service so I can watch some stuff like that.
Rob's gone the internet way with TV,
I don't watch much TV, so.
but
You can stream Sooner Sports TV.
Okay, Rob can't Google cat. Okay.
Well, yeah, I can. It just takes me a minute.
So now he can bring his son Casey over, and Casey could set him up to shoot off a rocket ship at his house. But Rob can't figure out how to. See, because we were talking about that, it would be really cool if you would just let Sooner fans send you clips.
Joe Buck's doing right now.
Of a game, and you just get who's in the game, and you call the play. You see what I'm saying? Like for instance,
are you talking about OU football games?
Yeah, just have fans submit clips of a game. Because you can find them on YouTube, like Jamel Holloway to Keith Jackson in the Orange Bowl. You don't know what the play is. You just have the names, and you just call it like that. That would be cool.
Yeah, I wouldn't do that for OU clips, just out of respect for Bob and John Brooks and those guys. I have had fun in the quarantine. I haven't done many lately, but these people at home that send me videos of their kids, playing in the backyard, or their dog catching a frisbee or whatever, and doing some play-by-play with those and making them seem real. My favorite was a young kid actually was trying to capture a squirrel in his backyard, and he set up a squirrel trap, and
you did play by play of that.
I would watch those. I promise you, I would watch those.
You have not put those out on YouTube yet? Come on.
Well, thanks for following me on Twitter. I appreciate it. They're all over Twitter.
All right, I haven't seen them, and I do. Have you? Well, I'm going to have to.
I never open it up.
Yeah,
we called them the Sooner Nation quarantine highlights of the night. We've probably done a dozen of them so far.
All right,
each clip is a minute or less.
I've seen bits. Yeah.
Well, see, I have not seen them, and you're in my mentions. When you do something, I have to check my.
Well, look me up. You'll find them.
I'll have to.
We got something to watch tonight now, Dad.
Yeah, because this is how dire it's been for me with sports. Last night, I'm trying to find something to watch, and it was on I think a Nat Geo, National Geographic channel. It was Animal Fight Night. Have you ever seen Animal Fight Night?
No, but it sounds like something I need to be a part of.
It's just that. It's lions fighting lions, rhinos fighting rhinos, buffalo fighting wolves. It's just clip after clip of wild animals fighting.
There's some crazy stuff out there.
I sat there and watched
Animal Fight Night.
Yeah, Animal Fight Night. There was like 3 shows on one right after another. So
that's crazy.
You've seen
I would love to
the bighorn sheep ram.
do some play-by-play.
Yeah. So if Rob and I, when we can go play golf, if we send you a clip of us playing golf, you would.
When Terry's playing, you're going to use the word shankopotamus a lot. So I just want to throw that out there.
Hey, and then see, Rob and I have said all along, we don't understand why they don't let us play golf, because we're never, more than 6 feet close to each other on a golf course.
That's for sure.
Ever, So they can keep everybody else off of it.
I've been asked to do weirder things than that, so I'd have no problem with that. Do a play-by-play of your golf swing.
Yeah, well, no, I don't know. Do we want to? Yeah, we need to do that, Rob.
I don't know. I don't know if you can take that kind of criticism, Terry.
Oh, like you're going to walk up there and
just saying,
go birdie. Yeah, okay, Rob, we're going to start playing for money, aren't we? I've been setting Rob up all this time.
Oh, boy.
All these years. But so what are you doing with your time? Do you have a go-to quarantine dinner, snack? What are you doing to pass your time?
I'm a big cook. I'm a big cook in my house. So I love making dinner probably 4 or 5 nights a week for the family. I just went I did a little grocery shop. We had taco salad tonight. That's a pretty simple one. But, I do my show every morning. Mondays, we usually have a podcast that Chris Plank and I do, and I'll have some spots or commercials or something that came in over the weekend. Tuesday, we tape the Spotlight show. They've put little TV studios in all of our houses during this quarantine so that we can do TV shows or, opens and closes for things that they need at OU, and we don't have to get out of the house. So Tuesday is usually that, and, more commercial work. So most of the stuff I got to do is Monday and Tuesday, and the rest of the week I get a lot of, once the radio show's over, I get a lot of trying to find something on Netflix to watch, or hopping in the swimming pool, or, running to the grocery store and putting a mask on, things like that. And, I'm going nuts. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm going bananas. I'm not handling it well at all. I'm shockingly to, I think, my wife, I'm a pretty easy person to get along with. I'm pretty laid back, but I'm close to unhinged right now because it's been so long since I've gotten to do anything of value, work-wise. So, I can't wait for something to come along, baseball or the NBA playoffs or whatever it may be. So that, the NFL draft was just a godsend last weekend to have some live sports to watch and things. Yeah, just something. So I think my days look a lot like you guys' days right now, mow the lawn.
By the way,
eat,
you
take
brought
a nap.
You brought up mow the lawn, and you were talking about it this morning on your radio show. The correct way is to weed eat and edge after you mow. Period. I don't care if anybody is doing it differently than that. They're insane.
Does everybody agree with that?
I'm not sure there's an instruction manual on that, Terry.
Rob, see, don't listen to Rob about anything.
I'm just saying. I don't know that there's a right or a wrong way to do that.
No. I worked in landscaping, when I moved to Oklahoma City from McAllister. That was my first job. And it's not, they were talking today, it's the reason why you weed eat first with mowing is because everybody's doing something. So the guy in the
you're talking about a team.
No, a team, but myself. I mow my yard and then I weed eat it and edge it. You can't weed. How do you know how tall your grass is when you mow it? You know what I mean? If
I'm not following this at all.
Rob doesn't go shopping, and Rob lives literally a driver from Walmart.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with having your groceries delivered.
That was before all this happened,
Rob,
too.
what do you do?
For a living?
Yeah, well, every topic we bring up, they say you don't do that.
Well, all right, okay. Yep.
Now, Rob is kind of, you just have,
I'm weird.
Yeah,
There's
he doesn't like crowds. You put him in a living room with about 8 people. Rob is the guy trying to crawl out if he can, claw his way out.
He's been doing his quarantine for all of his life, pretty much.
Yeah. Yes, Rob. How's quarantine going? Is this any different than anything else? But
I think it's fascinating, and we obviously, if you've listened to the show for any length of time, we've found several of these through the years where you were raised a certain way, and you just assume everybody does
right.
Whatever we're talking about the same way you've always done it, and sometimes it's the littlest thing like that just causes people to start throwing things at each other, And it's never even dawned on me that anybody would do it any other order than mow their lawn and then you weed eat whatever's left over.
Right.
That's the way I've always seen it. That's the way I've always done it. That's the way my dad did it. I assumed that's the way everybody on the planet did it. And lo and behold, here comes TJ, who says, "What are you talking about? I weed eat first." And I about passed out. Like, I've never heard of such nonsense. And then here comes all these other people saying that's the right way to do it. And, we've been doing the show for 16 years now, and I can't tell you how many of those we've come across where I didn't know there was even another way to look at that. And it's fun to hear people then get so bent out of shape, with each other about
the right way to
right way to. Yeah.
Well,
way to do whatever. I'm trying to think of some other conversations we've had.
We've had one pretty regularly that our fans like is Skittles, candy or fruit.
Oh boy. Here we go.
Candy.
I would go candy on that.
No, it's not. It's fruit. It's made out of 100% fruit juice. You know, there's no preservative. It's a fruit.
That's what they say.
It's not candy.
I
Candy
told
has
you I'm trying to
chocolate.
get him help, Toby. So I'm sorry. Just bear
no.
with us there.
I feel like if you brought that up with your doctor, he would disagree.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Or any sane person for that matter, not just a doctor.
Skittles.
He's put polls out. It's like 90-10. That's candy. He still won't.
No, it's not. It's not candy. It's made from fruit.
Okay.
It's fruit flavored.
Okay.
Therefore, it's fruit.
Okay.
So, it's just that simple.
It's quarantine. It gets like all these
Now,
weird things out of people.
Now, I get to listen to your show for a short time in the drive to work. Now, one of the polls you had out, I didn't see the results of. What is the peeing in the backyard poll?
When a few years ago, when Dusty was still working at our station, I was on with Dusty and Teddy one afternoon, and I don't know how the conversation got brought up. But you know, listen, those two guys are Neanderthals. Okay, I mean and Dusty started talking about how he pees in his backyard all the time, and I was like, what? You're a grown man. You know, I could understand if you're 4 years old or you couldn't, you know, are you talking about you're outside and you're in the pool and you're all wet and you don't want to go in? He's like, no, if I'm mowing the lawn or whatever, he goes, sometimes it just feels good to pee outside. I'll be in the house and I just choose to go outside to pee. And I was like, well, you're nuts. What are you talking about? Like, people, they built, like, we have indoor plumbing. We live in 2020. And he, you know, we went into this thing about, he says, everybody does that. Lots of people go outside to pee. And I was like, I don't think anybody on the planet other than you goes outside to urinate. And of course that started the whole, you know, people texting in or tweeting and yelling at each other about they do it or you're gross or it's another one of these things
I never think
that
about.
took off. So that was a born from Dusty. Teddy, if I remember correctly, very much agreed with him, and I to this day am disgusted by both.
Well, maybe, you know, I was raised in southeastern Oklahoma, McAllister, so, you know, maybe it has to deal geographically where you're from, because, you know, that's a thing. It was a thing at my house when I was a kid, and I've carried it on to.
Okay, but like now, are you?
Yes.
Yeah, now.
I won't be sitting here and go, I got to pee. I'm going to go pee in the yard. But on the weekend, if I'm out, you know, sitting on the patio, you know, enjoying the evening, instead of coming in the house, I just walk over to the corner of the house and boom. I mean, it makes
There
You
go.
don't worry about your neighbors at all.
no. I mean, I have
Because that's jail time. I'm just saying.
No, I
might want-
have 6 foot tall, and I'm not 6 foot tall. I have 6.5 foot tall fence. So,
Right.
you know, I mean, it's private. You know, it's not if I have 10 people in my backyard, I'm not. But if I'm sitting out there, either in the hot tub or sitting outside of the hot tub, I'm going, you know, I got to pee. I just walk over to the corner.
It's too much info I need to know.
Oh, don't even go there. Okay.
I don't want to talk about any of that. Okay.
Okay. Caleb just went, whoops. He knew he was.
Too much info I didn't want to know.
Yeah, but he
Do you think when people found out that I was going to be on tonight, they were saying, "Man, I really hope they get into the pee in the backyard conversation"?
What was on our list
The
of things to
biggest-
talk about, but
The biggest argument, I think, the biggest argument we've ever had on the show, and it's a recurring one for years, is whether it's okay to recline a seat on an airplane or not. That's one that people will lose their mind over.
Rob is
Listen, if you got somebody that's over 6 foot tall sitting behind you, it's not okay. It's not okay. That's just my personal opinion.
What about you, Toby? Are you a recliner or non-recliner?
Now we're talking about coach.
I hate it when somebody leans back into me. I'm a larger guy anyway, so I have very little room. I can't hardly get the table down, you know, as it is. And if I do have anything on it, then it's jammed into my stomach, and my drink goes everywhere. And I think you should turn around and ask, if you're super sleepy and you have those 4 inches or whatever to lean back, I think you should turn around and say, "Hey, is it okay if I come back?"
And
But Teddy vehemently disagrees with that. He says he bought that seat and he can do whatever he wants with it.
And he probably can. So
Yeah. Not many people are going to say, "Hey, Mister."
yeah. Here's one of mine is, and this kind of separates Sooner Nation a little bit, is people wearing Baker Mayfield Cleveland Brown jerseys to home games or to any game. I cannot stand that.
Even a Cleveland Browns game?
An Oklahoma game, Rob. You know what? That bothers me.
I would say if it's an orange one, that's probably not very well thought out. If it's a white one or a brown one, I wouldn't.
They all have orange in them.
He thinks you should get an OU one. That's what he thinks.
If you're, it's an OU game.
Six.
It's perfectly fine to wear a Baker Mayfield Oklahoma Sooners jersey. It's not okay to wear a Browns jersey.
There isn't such a thing. What are you talking about? There's no such thing as a Baker Mayfield.
I warned you. He's crazy. He's nuts.
No, I mean, you
So
know what I'm
is it a
saying.
color thing? Like if it was a Kyler Murray red Cardinals
I still
jersey,
no.
you'd be okay with that?
Nope, I would not be. I would not be okay with wearing Billy Sims Detroit Lions.
You're just going across the line now, Terry.
It's fine to wear that player's jersey when they played there. If you're that big a fan, I mean, you can wear what you want, obviously, but when people walk by the tailgate or I see it, I'm just like, that's not even right. It, especially the turd brown one. That is the ugliest.
Thanks for that visual.
It's brown and orange. I mean, I'm just not for, and I'm not with the Kyler.
Right.
But it's a bigger thing because of Baker. His popularity. There's more people.
He sticks out because sore thumb at the games.
Yeah.
You can see the patches of brown throughout the. Like I get in fights with that all the time. I don't care. Like, it's wear what you want to wear, especially Baker. He's representing OU, so you can represent him.
No, just don't do it.
I would put that in the pile of that doesn't bother me, but I'm okay that it does you.
Oh, it drives me crazy. And now, I get people who will send me pictures and go, "Hey, here's my." I don't care that you have a Baker jersey. That's great. Just don't wear it to an OU game.
Touch the nerve.
So, that's just me.
His eye twitches too, Toby. Just in case you wanted to know.
Rob, just in here acting like you don't have any pet peeves.
I'm so easygoing.
Okay, what happens if somebody gets too close to you in line?
Well, that's just smart.
Social distancing.
That's just smart. Am I right?
Yeah, I mean,
It doesn't sound like Rob's been out of the house in several years.
Well, I get out, but there are certain things that it's just smarter not to do. For instance, I always have my groceries delivered. I order my clothes online. Those things. I'm a single man, so I don't have.
But again, Toby, you can, a nice driver to the back of Walmart from his apartment. Okay, it's not like he has to. He's putting himself out.
It's not the distance, Terry.
Well, it's kind of hard to shame someone for doing that stuff right now and this time.
No, I can shame him because he's been doing it for 10 years.
But still, maybe he's smart. Maybe he was a smart one then, because look at everyone else.
And then he calls me or he texts me one day. Why did I come to Walmart today? The one day I went to shop and it was the first of the month. So he walked into Walmart when everybody had all.
Yes, it reminds me of why I shop online. It's not that I don't like people. It's just I don't really like people.
Does that make sense, Toby? See?
Yeah, absolutely.
These are our conversations that we have on a regular basis. Skittles. Caleb, do you have any pet peeves?
Not gonna think of right now.
Don't go political because
I can't think of right now. I can't think of anything.
Yeah.
Please don't drag me down that rabbit hole.
But, Rob, do you got anything else for?
No,
Toby?
that's it. We probably kept him long enough.
Yeah. He's probably sitting there going, "Yeah, now it's time to go. We're talking about peeing in yards." And but hey, one thing, Toby, I want to say to everybody. I mean, anybody who's ever met you knows this, but we've ran into you at the at the barbecue and at games or at Rudy's and at games and stuff. If you guys have ever gone to Rudy's on Tuesday night, if you get there early, like we do, so you can make sure for one to get a seat.
Right. Listen, Cheryl saves us seats now, so we're all gold.
Yeah, but Toby as always walks around, says hello to everybody, welcomes everybody, and has always been nice, talks to you. if you see him on, game day, which I was trying to figure out one day why you were at the Sooner Village like an hour before the game one day. I was like, hey, Toby, hey, how you doing? I was like, aren't you supposed to be in there in the game? But, hey, somebody with your, I guess, stature, fame, whatever, it's probably all the wrong words, but you know what I mean? You're well known, and you take time for us fans, just like taking time out of your, well, you're not busy now. But
if the season was on, it's probably a different story, but that's okay.
But, taking time out to come on with fans, and then, the way that you interact with fans in public places that I've seen, it's commendable. And, we as fans appreciate it and appreciate all that you do.
Absolutely,
for us and the university. So we want to thank you wholeheartedly for that.
That's nice of you. I appreciate it. And, you guys know this, and I hope it comes through how much I absolutely love my job and consider myself the most fortunate guy in the world to get chosen for this. And there are 1,000 guys who could do it as good or better than I can, or not more.
Nope.
And the fact that they picked me is, I'm amazed. And I just, I want to make Joe and President Bourne proud because they made the decision. And I want to make Bob Berry and John Brooks and Mike Treps and Walter Cronkite and Kurt Gowdy and all the guys who have gone before me proud. And so part of that is understanding how fortunate we are, and that none of it's possible without fans. And so I can't wait for game days because I like to call games, but I also can't wait for game days because it's so much fun to get to talk to people and see them in their Baker Mayfield, Cleveland Brown jersey, whatever the case may be. So.
That's right.
But you guys are fun, and it's nice of you to let me hang out with you for a night.
Well, we sure appreciate it. And everybody, that's the podcast. We'll see you next time. Boomer Rob.
Sooner Terry.
Boomer Caleb.
Sooner.
Boomer Toby. Sooner fans, you really need to go check out our podcast partners. First off, teambarfinder.com. Download their app on the Apple Store or on Google Play. Find out where you can watch your Sooners locally at your local pub. Also, go check out tailgateconnect.com for the best tailgates across the country. And go learn football from Jason Young, JY, and the Trench Warfare Report, www.trenchwarfarereport.com. Let's get this going.